24/7, asking God for something. But I'm trusting, as I've heard others come and say tonight, I'm trusting that He's got that. And I don't really have to worry about that. All I need to do is make sure that I keep myself in position so that I can be whatever He needs me to be as He go about doing what He purposed to do. And that's all, because I am here for a reason. And the reason is not unto myself. The reason is for someone else. And that someone else goes beyond our personal families. You know, we think once we have taken care of husband, wife, children, blah, 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 we have done our duty. But it goes beyond that. Once I have raised my children, I am even obligated to help raise somebody else's children. Matter of fact, I had to depend on somebody helping me raise my children, because I could not have done it by myself. So I'm glad that we did take the time out to come tonight, because I don't know about you, but there is much concern, not worry, but much concern about what's happening in our world today. Now, I tell you what I am scared for. I'm scared that our children are being raised up in a world of uncertainties. I do not believe that our children are going to be able to sit down and define what is truth. And if our children cannot define what is truth, then there will be no application to truth. Now, I can't say there will be no truth, but there will be no application to truth. Because once I learn what truth is, truth will always be. But my response to truth, or my participation in truth, my application to truth, will largely dictate my peace, my success. And if our children don't have that, if they are confused, then if we listen to a president who says, I tell the truth when I can, and the nation seems to be all right with that, nobody screams about that, then that does not help our children know what is truth. When we apply truth or define truth as to what is beneficial for me, then our kids grow up and they start defining truth as to what benefits them. So what happens? We become a selfish world. And are we not there somewhat already? Are we not selfish in our living? Are we not selfish in our relationship with others? So I sat down and I said, okay, Lord, what is truth? And this is what I think I came up with. We have to stop defining truth as to what is true. I'm going to let that one soak. I cannot define truth by what is true. Because something can be true and not be truth. Would you buy that? It can be true, but not what is truth. If you looked at, I think it's John 18 and John 18 and 38. In case you don't have your Bible with you, I got mine here. I'm going to read it. Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" And when he had said this, he went out again to the Jews and said to them, "I find no fault in him at all." Pilate said to him, to Jesus, you know, this is at the time of the crucifixion. Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" Now, some writers argue that Pilate was just being sarcastic right here, that he was just really making fun of the time. But I don't think Pilate was doing that. Because if I go back up to 29 if you got your Bible. Pilate then went to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" They answered and said to him, "If he were not an evildoer, we would not have delivered him to you." Then Pilate said to him, "You take him and judge him according to your law." Therefore the Jews said to him, "It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death." Then go down to 33. "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered him, "Are you speaking for yourself about this, or did others tell you this concerning me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you to me. What have you done?" Now, this is what's important. Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight, so that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now my kingdom is not from here." Pilate therefore said to him, "Are you a king then?" Jesus answered, "You say rightly that I am a king. For this cause I was born, for this cause I have come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate asked the question, "What is truth?" And it's interesting, the reason I say there's no sarcasm here, Pilate did not ask, "Is it true?" Now, you might have read or taken from, "Who are you, the king of the Jews? Is it true that you're king of the Jews?" You might say, Pilate is asking, "Is it true that you are the king of the Jews?" And I'll even ride with you right there. But when Jesus responded to him, he left the truth of the situation and began to do something that an unbeliever grabbed hold of, that sometimes church folk don't grab hold of. Because he asked the question, "What is truth?" I'm going to argue, and all of you biblicists can ride me another time, but I'm going to argue that Pilate began to understand there was something more than what was true. Because if he was just dealing with what is true, he himself said, "I find no fault." Now, if you know something, when they were saying to him, this was the third day, this was the morning, this was the third trial that Jesus was before. Okay? And they had said that he did two things. He told people, "Don't pay your taxes." And he claimed that he was a king, which gave opposition to Caesar, who was the authority. But he did not even address that in his comment. Did you note that? He didn't even raise that. He said, what is truth? He said, are you a king? Not, did you tell people not to pay their taxes? He didn't say that. Did you read that? But he said, what is truth? Just because I know something is true does not necessarily make it truth. But how do we live? If it is true, we care nothing about the righteousness of what is true. If it's true, it gives us a reason to do whatever we decide to do that is best for us. Would you buy that? All we want is the fact of a thing. And once we have the fact of a thing, we believe we can act in any way we wish according to that fact. But that does not make what we do or how we react to the fact righteous. And I'm afraid that we're teaching our children to react to facts and not to what is righteous. You may know something true about me, but for you to take what is true about me and condemn me for that true is not righteous. We believe our gossip is righteous because it is a true fact, and we'll take that true fact and we'll kill that person with it. And what happened? Anybody ever sit around the corner when your kids are at your house with their friends and you extend your ear long enough to where you can hear them, but they don't know that you're listening? Anybody ever done that? I've been doing that with my grandkids. And I'll listen, not they knowing I'm listening, to what they are saying. And sometimes I say, you all sound like a bunch of, oh God, I shouldn't, let me hush. They take things that are true and wreak havoc on situations in their lives. And I got fed up with it, so I said to them, what are you going to do with that? What do you mean, what am I going to do with that? I said, what are you going to do with this fact that you know? Well, I ain't going to do nothing with it. I'm through with it. But what if that person, I'm going to tell you how I put it to him. I said, but what if God put you in that person's life and revealed something true about that person so that you could be righteous toward that person that God used to reconcile that person to him? What if that's what God is doing? What you mean? What you mean? What if God wants you to be this person's friend that you know this horrible thing about, but this horrible thing can benefit you in no way? Hope you all are praying with me, because we adults do the same thing. What if God is trying to use you, but long as we got it, the fact, how many marriages have ended on the truth of something, the fact of something, and not the righteousness of something? Now you got to remember something. If it's adultery, God gave you an out. So you can go do whatever you want to do. You can leave, go, whatever. It don't matter. But what if the person says, well, Lord, you know what? I know the fact of this. I know it is true. But my love does not want to leave. And I want to stay and make this thing work. What do you think God does with that? You think he called you a fool? Do you think he said you are stupid? That you ought to get out while you can? What does God do with that? I have to be careful that just because something is true, I don't make it truth. Because what is truth? Truth is simply God. I'm going to read something that truth is not. Truth is not whatever works. Truth is not simply what is coherent or understandable. And by that, I'm simply saying, a group of people can get together and form a conspiracy, and they can make that conspiracy true and do a lot of damage with it. It's not just something that is coherent and understandable. Truth is not what makes people feel good. Sometimes bad news that don't make you feel good is true. Truth is not what the majority says is true. Truth is not defined by what is intended. Good intentions can still be wrong. Daddy used to call it doing a right thing in a wrong way. Truth is not how we know, but truth is what we know. Truth is not simply what is believed. A lie can be believed, but it's still a lie. Truth is not what is publicly proved. And sometimes I wonder that that is not how our nation is existing right now. But quickly, in these couple of minutes, what is truth? Truth is the mind, the will, the character, glory, and being of God. And what do I mean by that? The thing that evil does in our purpose is try to confuse the intent of God in our purpose. And what evil uses most often is this thing of true and truth. Because if he can, I got proof. What did he say to Eve? What did the Lord say to you? We can eat of any tree in the garden, but the tree in the midst of the garden, we cannot touch. That wasn't true. Nor can we eat thereof. That was true. The devil said, God did not mean that in essence. And anyway, God is not fair because he knows that the day you eat thereof, you are going to become as gods. Now, what the devil had in mind was becoming as gods, and the writers were very explicit with this because they put a small G-O-D. You will simply know the difference between what is right and what is wrong. But that's the worst thing that can happen to you. Because once you know the difference between right and wrong, you are now responsible for right or wrong. And what God was trying to do was keep you in this garden free of any kind of stress. His purpose was simply for you to multiply and enjoy the garden. You got dominion over it. That's all God had in mind. But the devil confused that and brought in the knowledge of good and evil. And since then, man has been stressed out. Stressed out. So the devil gets in our purpose and he tries to confuse that purpose with this thing of true and truth. I think we have to stop reacting simply because it is true. I know this makes no sense to you, but let it soak. You pray on it, you rest on it, and hopefully you'll get to where I'm going with it. You can't just rest on what is true. It is true. Trump is the president of the United States. It is true that he is wreaking havoc on this nation. It is true, but I can't respond unrighteously to that. I've got to respond in a righteous way. I can't go home and sit down and say, this crazy man going to do what he going to do, so I ain't going to even worry about it. I have to respond to it in a righteous way. And I can only know the righteousness of it by knowing God. That's why I said that it is about the character of God, the will of God, the integrity of God. In essence, it's just simply about God. I should not ever make one move. I should never give 1 ounce of advice until I have asked of God, what do I do with what I know is true? How many of us, first, knowing something is true, ask of God, what do I do with it? Anybody? Do you ask of God first, what do I do with this fact that I know is true? First of all, why did God bring the fact, the truth, to your consciousness? I'm going to let that one really soak. Why did he reveal to you? Was it to protect you? That's what we say. God could not have protected you without bringing that truth to you, to where you had to. Can we protect ourselves? Now, keep in mind, I'm scared that our children are growing up in a confusion of uncertainties. Keep that in mind. But did you ask God, what do you want me to do with this that you have brought to me? I didn't say run. I ain't even got it with me. Run to your phone, child. Do you know what I just heard? Do you know what I just found out? Do you know what I just saw? Before you call your girlfriend or your buddy to let them know about the truth that you had just witnessed, did you ask God, what am I supposed to do with this? We talk about bullying, and the church was just real upfront about bullying. We even had some kids come up and say that they were being bullied, and we wanted to offer prayer for them, and we did offer prayer for them. And did we do right with that? What do you think? Come on, I got a couple of minutes. What do you think? Did we do right with that? Did we pray God's movement against that one who bullied? Did we ask God's salvation upon the one who had been bullied? The deliverance for the one who had been. Did we do right with that? Because where did our sympathy go? To the one who was bullied, right? There is and it's a true story, but they made a movie out of it. And a friend shared it with me. The Durango ate my baby. Anybody ever see that? Read about it? It's a true story. True story. They were on a camping trip. The Durango ate my baby. And they just kind of turned their eyes away from the baby just for a couple of seconds. When they turned back around, the baby was gone. Baby was gone. They didn't find the baby. And pretty soon, because the woman who knew within her spirit she had not done anything to this baby, was not all torn when they were saying, "What'd you do to your baby?" When the husband even said to her, "What did you do to that baby?" And because she wasn't all broken and all crying and just hysterical, they eventually arrested her and him for doing something to that baby. But years later, it was shown that a Durango actually wiped the baby out of that tent and ate the baby. But all of society had condemned the woman as guilty of. She wasn't crying loud enough. She wasn't sad enough. She wasn't broken enough. And I'm just trying to help us understand how we take true or facts and we make righteousness out of it, which is impossible. And how many situations have we been in that we took what we considered a fact and we caused or we decided something that later on we came to find out it wasn't even true. Anybody ever done that? Anybody ever been there? Because we had facts, but we did not act in a righteous way to the fact that we had. And I know if you had time to argue back at me, you'd be saying, how long am I supposed to be the fool? How much hurt am I supposed to endure before I wake up and smell the coffee? How much am I supposed to go through before I say that's enough? And I'm not even going to answer you. I'm going to simply say to you, until I understand the righteousness of what has been presented me, and for what cause it was presented, which meaning, what does God want me to do with this? Then any approach I make toward it is not a godly approach and cannot have a godly result. Do you all buy that? Our children need to be taught. And that's why it was so important to stop, to at least have a period where we stop asking God for something and just start thanking Him, to get us out of this frame of always wanting God to do something and put us more in the frame of us doing something. Every situation that comes to you for a reason. And sometimes the reason that it comes is not to make the other person stronger. Yes, it's to make you stronger or to help you out of a situation or get you right in a situation. But all times it comes for somebody else. And I'm even going to go as far, all time it comes. Because even if He's getting you right, it's so that you can be in position to bless somebody else. Our children have to be taught more than 2 + 2 or 4. Do the best you can, get your education so you can get a job. Those things are important. But we got to start teaching our children how to make right applications to truth, which is the righteousness of God. helping our children understand that. Were you not blessed to see all those youth up in the choir stand Sunday? How many of us thank God for it? How many of us say, what's going on? I ain't seen that many in Sundays. The thing that scares me is not my generation. Ain't much my generation can do at this point to cripple this world. Ain't much my generation can do. Matter of fact, I'm solid in what I believe, and at this point, ain't nobody gonna change what I believe. I've been through too much to change. But these young minds that's coming behind us, we're more interested in who they gonna marry and what job they gonna get and are they gonna be safe, and those are important things because everybody wants their child to be successful in a marriage. And certainly everybody wants their child to be safe, be able to take care of themselves, and that requires a good job. And what's so interesting, many of us grandparents are having to participate with our children in this. And some of us grandparents are having to do all of it ourselves. Because the parent is not able to do it. That's a fact. And for some of us, we say, well, if the parent ain't doing it, why should I be doing it? But why did God bring you into that situation? What does he want you to do with it? I wished, and you all just pray for me. I wish we got as much excitement out of pursuing the righteousness that God has for us in the situation as we do gossiping about it. I wish we did that. And look what the devil does. Look how good he makes us feel after we have gossiped. Y'all not going to pray with me? Y'all not going to say amen? He makes us feel awful good that we have shared some gossip about somebody, and in our gossip ain't nothing that will help that person become. We didn't say it's a fact, but this is what we're going to do. Girl, you go to that person's house this day and you talk, and I'm going to go the next day and I'm going to talk to them. We don't do that. We leave that conversation feeling good that everybody knows this person is a devil or did something wrong. And we pass that right on down to our children. Our children, growing up in this world of uncertainty, will have a difficult time helping this world stay on track. They won't have the foggiest idea of how to begin. And that's what's scary. That's what's troubling. Because some of us got some great grandkids who are going to be affected by that. Some grandkids who are going to be affected by that. And I'm saying every last one of us have to understand that my task in life is in everything I do, approach it from truth and not from what is true. What does God want me to do with this? What does he want me to do with it? And whatever he wants me to do with it is truth, because that's God. So when Jesus says to Pilate, identifying himself as truth, truth incarnate, because his Father was truth, he is truth incarnate. And nobody, he says earlier in John, comes to the Father except through me. I am the truth. I am the way. And you can't get there. I think we have to stop worrying about what the stock market is doing, start worrying about what the president is doing, and start making better applications to what is truth. Everything you know that is true does not deserve your negative approach to it. Matter of fact, I'm even going to argue and say none deserve that. Even if God tells you to do whatever, do it in a righteous way. I'm going to take your dreams. I'm going to take everything you got. What he put it, I'm going to take everything you got, and then I'm going to take your dreams just in case you're dreaming about something. And I'm not just picking on marriage, because my deal for this evening has to do with where our children are coming. Because they're going to be, we're talking about the life of Antioch. And when we were in Wichita, it was 137 years for them. And we go get there too. What we going to look like when we get there? If we get there, what we going to look like? But I do believe this. If this world, and let me just bring it closer to home. If in my home, I don't start approaching my home with truth instead of what is true, my home is going to crash. They asked me to chair a task force for Tulsa Public Schools, and I didn't want to do it. I think I shared this with you, though. I didn't want to do it because I was sick of them. But actually, the reason I did it was because they had recommended Andrea to do it. But the superintendent didn't feel like Andrea was in the community enough to control the community. So I said, I'll take it. But my intent for taking it was to push Andrea out there so next time they'll say she can handle it. And if you were at that meeting Sunday night, you know Andrea can handle a community. You know? But that's important for me for Antioch. Marla's out there. Marla's known. I wanted Andrea out there too. But my point, what I was coming to was, they talking about educating children and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, parents have to get involved. Sororities have to get involved. Fraternities have to get involved. The church got to get involved. The community got to get involved. This can't all be on Tulsa Public Schools. It has to be this whole village that we claim. Because it's got to be about our children. It's got to be about what's happening next. And I think that's what God was after. So you got to start asking, Lord, why did you bring this situation to me? And what am I supposed to do with it? And then we will start living the righteousness of things. Then we'll be able to teach our children how to live righteous. Because it's scary otherwise. Go ahead.
I've done 8 years at Gill Creek with task force, and I had a first cousin at Prince Jefferson, and
I agree.
And I taught 7 years at Memorial High. We had full class policemen with guns, and just like they had at Gilcrease, that went to Memorial High,
Okay.
and they needed that. And some of them, even with the policemen, with the guns strapped on, would challenge them.
Well, I mean, but those are facts.
Those are facts.
What do you do with them? Let me ask you something. Let me ask you a question. Has anybody had this experience? Today it was true, but tomorrow it was a lie. Anybody ever had that happen? How can true turn into a lie? Anybody? So what now? Yeah. Okay. 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 What were you going to, Willie, did I see your hand?
I mean, we have it all the time. The doctor will say, this will kill you if you do it, and then next year, that's good for you.
Oh. Eat it today, it's true you'll die, but tomorrow is good for you. We've seen that. Anybody else ever had that happen? Go ahead, Kim. Okay. All right. Anybody else? We're getting ready to go. Because I hope that when we leave tonight, you know, how many of us took what Andrew did Sunday home and went over with our children and helped them fill out that whole thing? How many did that? Or did we just leave it around here in the seats, not picking it up again? Okay, but that wasn't time enough to really study this, was it? But how many of us parents or grandparents took this home and helped our children go back through it block by block, square by square, and explain to them those things? Nobody?
Most of us didn't get one.
Say that again?
Most of us didn't get one. It was just the kids.
Most parents didn't get it? Okay. Did we check to see if our child got one? Did we check to see if our grandkid got one? Did we do that? You know, go ahead.
I would like to have one because a lot of those people I didn't know.
Okay.
I can't explain to any child, but I don't know.
All right. Okay. And I'll ask Andrew to have some made up and put out here on the courtesy table. Do you see why I'm scared? You see why I'm scared? Because these are our young people. And I don't want them to have to struggle. I'm fighting so hard right now, working when I don't even feel like working. Because I don't want Marla and Andrea to come into something that's crazy. You know what I'm trying to say? And I know that I can't protect them, but I know that I can do all that God has purposed me to do to have it ready for them. Because they will have their challenges. They will have their challenges. But look what God is doing. He took a field. He didn't lay him down in green pastures. He took him to the very woods where there were no calm waters. He had to wrestle with life. But then when God brought him back, he brought him back in a great way. It wasn't for Phil that he did that. It was the purpose he had for Phil that he did that. But I'm so glad that you came out tonight for the prayer meeting. I just wanted to hit that real quick about the children. Let's start asking let's do this. Your child or your grandchild or the friend of your, or the child of your friend, ask them to define truth for you. Let me ask this. How many of us can define truth? What did I say truth was? Huh? And that means that's what? If God is the creator of all, then he has to be the truth. I can't be the subject of something and establish the rules of that something. But that's what we do as human beings. We want to establish the rules, and we didn't even create. And we never inquire of the Creator of what the rules should be. But Jesus said, you don't even have to do that, because the written word is as powerful as the incarnate word. And all you got to do is pick this up. But there are so many who are saying, and I need to get out of here. I want to read you something. This is what our kids are getting today. These questions. Is there a God? And I know some of us saying we got that question way back when, but it has a different, it's being asked differently today. Is there a God? Where did everything come from? But this is a biggie here. How do I know what's right and what's wrong? Because there are all kinds of definitions. So our children haven't the foggiest idea of what the answer should be, because they're getting so many opinions about what it should be. Go ahead. I hear you. I hear you. But if you know, as parents and grandparents, we are more concerned about them making a living than we are about them living. And we should be more concerned about them living and not so much making a living. Dad used to say, you don't worry about making the money. You worry about being in the position to make the money. Because if you're in the position, you're going to make the money. So don't put the cart before the horse. But just do that for me. And just thank you for tolerating my fear for our kids. They're just very important to me, and I know that we are responsible for them. We've got to handle that. So help me bless them. See a little kid running around, don't say little bad rascal. Just say he got a whole lot of energy, and let me try to direct that energy to a good place. Isn't that better than just damning him to a bad kid? Let me help direct this energy to a better place. That's better than damning him for being a bad kid. Okay, let's stand. Thank you again for coming out to prayer meeting. And I hope that as we listen to people with their testimonies and the prayers that we were praying individually helped us tonight. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one from the other. Amen.